Hey guys, so we're working with shading portraits, and so the second portrait is going to be colored and shaded instead of just black and white. So I grabbed a lot of different pencil colors, all kinds of neutrally skinish sort of colors that I can mix together, because you really will need to mix colors for this. So similar to when you are shading any other way, you're going to want to lay down layers of color that you build up. So if you colored the whole thing really hard one color, that would just be it. You wouldn't really get to do any shading. But with pencil colors and crayons too, and some other media, you can shade by putting a little bit of one color and then coming on top with another. So I'll show you that whenever light's hitting the face, there's going to leave some shadows in places like here. So I'm coloring very softly where I know there's going to be a little bit of shadow with kind of a darker color. Might not look dark right now because I'm coloring so softly with it, but this you can tell is kind of a darker brown. And I'm doing that because my skin is more of a peachy sort of color. I do have some freckles and a little bit of tan, but it's pretty peachy. So depending on what color you want to show, you might want to do like a darker color for the shadows, like a very dark brown, or even black for the shadows, or you might want to do lighter color. You can see I'm doing it very lightly right now because, like I said, we're going to build up layers to get to the color that we want. And something you can also do is have a scrap paper, or on the back by wherever you wrote your name, you can test layering colors. So if I put a little bit of this color, like I've been doing for the shadows, and come on top with like some red and some white, maybe some pink, and we can see what that's going to turn into as we go. Like orange, yellow, yeah, so I think that's becoming sort of an interesting skin color. Maybe it needs some more white, maybe it needs some more different colors, but you can see just by layering up in this one little spot the different colors I can get. So back to doing it on a face. So that's what I kind of do. I grab a new color. So I got a little bit of a darker brown now for shading the very shadowy areas, like this part of the neck that's hidden by the chin. This is a technique you need to practice here, where I'm pushing softer and softer, and it's kind of disappearing. It's called a gradient whenever you go from one color to another very slowly. And so it's a really good art technique to practice, because you're going to be able to use it lots in your art, is that you go from one color and push less and less until you get to another color. For this example, it's back to the white of the paper. So the nose already looks a little bit more 3D just because I've added that shadow with 2 layers of color. See, I'm coming in and shading under the cheeks here and nose. Already see I'm starting to get some almost natural colors just by mixing these 3 different light and dark browns that I've been using. But one of the cool things about color shading is that actually you don't only use natural colors. If you want your shading to look very realistic, you can actually even use colors that you wouldn't expect. For example, got some greens. Let's go for this one. So since my person I'm doing here is kind of a pinkish color, a peachy, green is sort of an opposite of that, and so because red, the main color, is opposite of green on the color wheel, and so you can actually use very light amounts of green for shading. So let's go where we already know there's a dark shadow and add a little bit light. Make sure you're doing this very light, obviously, because if you put dark green, it would look like you're actually trying to color the person with green, whereas you're just trying to use this as a shading technique. So I've built up some colors here to make some shading, and you can keep working until you get it just how you like it. You know, you're gonna need to keep building up the dark shadows and working until you get it the best that you can. Now every single time I'm coloring very softly, so that I can put more on top. If you were to start coloring hard right from the beginning, the colors would not go on top of each other. They would just all smear. So make sure you're being careful and coloring very softly every time. So let's say this person has sort of dark hair. What I like to do is I have, you know, the outline of the hair here. I like to kind of go from where I know the hair's coming, like the part or wherever, and I put some streaks that follow the design of where my hair is going to go. So instead of just coloring solid, I'm trying to kind of draw the strands of hair. And then I'll probably do this with a few colors because hair usually stacks up colors. And I might even try to leave a little bit of this middle part on both sides sort of light whitish, because that will be the shininess of the hair. See how now it looks like hair that's shiny on top? Say this person had blue-green eyes, so I can get that in there. Irises are radial. That means the design in them goes around in a circle outwards, like the beams coming off the sun. And then also, because the eyelid covers the top of an iris is a little shaded usually. And then we'll do the lips. Lips are going to be pretty similar to skin color unless you have like lipstick on. So I'm going to use kind of one of these colors I used for the skin, but then I'm going to put a little bit of sort of reddish with it, or pinkish maybe. And then lips are also usually going to have some shading. Okay, I'll stop there. I've got a few more bits of hair and stuff I could do, but I'll leave it at that so y'all can try it yourself. Okay, bye.